Hello, hello, and welcome. You're listening to Light Sprinkles, and I'm Spring Ulrich, your host. And I am here to offer you inspiration, healing tools, and survival skills to springing forward in your life. Whether you've experienced a loss of a person in your life or a dream, I am here to offer you the tools that I have found useful. And today I am talking about the topic of releasing, stretching, and flying on the breeze. So, what do I mean by that? I really want to get into releasing the blocks that keep you stuck in the emotions and unable to find more ease, more relaxation in your body and in your mind and in your experience. And releasing so much. So, the first step in releasing those blocks and getting to the point where you can fly on the breeze of life into more ease within your life is to be able to releasing the stories, releasing the beliefs that hold you back, releasing tension, right? Tension that we hold in our body or tension that we have in our mind around stress, the things that stress us out, anxieties, the shoulds in our life. If we're shooting on ourselves and having super high expectations and not allowing ourselves, giving ourselves that grace and that forgiveness, releasing the pressures that we have, releasing the hurry mindset and mentality that you just trying to hurry through everything as quickly as you can to try to get more and more and more complete and feeling rushed, releasing those, releasing anger, releasing blame, releasing guilt, whatever it is that is holding you in that state of difficult, hard, sad, anxious, really uncomfortable and turbulent times. So I want to take us in an airplane. Take us on a journey through an airplane experience because most people have experienced being on an airplane. And I would say that if you've flown a few times, that you've experienced turbulence in your life with being on an airplane and what that feels like, right? That when that wind starts to really be bumpy and you start to feel that nervous feeling and maybe you're gripping your seat and you find yourself not breathing very deeply or holding your breath, all of those things, it's such a representation of our life because life will do that. It will bring us those bouncy, those really bumpy and turbulent winds. From time to time, they happen. And when those things happen, how do we react? How do you feel inside your body? How do you find a state of calm, a state of peace, a state of trust, that this turbulent wind, you will pass through it or the wind will calm down and there will be calmer winds on the other side just to get through it. And where is it that you place your trust? If you're not the pilot, then you're placing the trust in the pilot's ability to handle that turbulent wind, to handle the plane, to be able to have the skill set to maintain the calm and the steadiness of that aircraft to get everyone through it into safety so that we can be back in that ease and the real relaxing ride. So if you've experienced that, that's a really great metaphor for what it's like when you're in the middle of the turbulence of your own life, whether it's an angry fight, an upset within a relationship that you have, or a death of someone that you deeply love, or a death of a pet, a death of a partner, or a death of an end to a relationship and a divorce or a separation, or an end to a career or a job loss, or perhaps it's a severe diagnosis, whatever it is that you are experiencing in your life, whatever kind of loss that you're feeling, that's the turbulent wind. That's the shaky, that bumpy ride. You're in that ride. And when you're in that ride, it is scary, it's uncomfortable. And so, how can we best ride that turbulence, ride that wave, and come out of that experience into the easeful part where we're just soaring and flying and in a better space? So, what I've found is the release is the biggest piece, is being able to release the tension, release the pressure, the expectation, and to have presence. In order to release something, acknowledging it and being with it and allowing it to express. So this is where the stretch part comes in. When we're stretching ourselves, then we're growing. And I want to take the metaphor of yoga in here. If any of you have done yoga, then you know the experience of the deep breath and how that facilitates being in that uncomfortable stretch that is the good hurt, or the, taking yourself to that edge of comfort and trying to go just a little bit beyond it, not to hurt yourself, but to just see how far you can take your body and have that tension release, right? If you're in a massage and you're getting a deep tissue massage, that can feel so good, even if it hurts so good. So stretching emotionally, right? Stretching physically. If you're in a turbulent wind of your life, I highly recommend that you stretch literally physically. Whether you're taking a yoga class or not, yoga can be a great, great way to release those tensions and to get your mind also involved with it, because there is that physical and that mental component. And so stretching our body and releasing the tension, releasing the built up emotion that gets trapped in our cells and in our muscles and where we carry that tension, whether it's in our shoulders or our back or our feet or our legs. Where is it that you're holding your tension in your body, and how can you loosen it up? Even if you're not in a yoga class, if you're on a literal airplane and you're going through that turbulent experience where the plane is bouncing, can you be conscious and just take a deep breath and release your hands and try to relax? Can you acknowledge how you're feeling? Acknowledge your thoughts? Or you're going to, oh my gosh, we're all going to end up in the ocean and we're all going to die? Or do you go to, are your go-to thoughts, it's okay, we're going to get through this. This is just a little bit of rough wind. The pilot knows what they're doing. What kind of thoughts are you reaching for that are creating either more anxiety and upset or more calm, more peace, and allowing you to maintain your steadiness within that turbulent wind? If there's a tornado happening around you, how do you maintain that steady, that calm within yourself, no matter what's happening around you? And some of the skills is to absolutely physically move your body, release the tensions within your body, and keep it fluid and in motion. So allowing your body that flexibility, to maintain that flexibility, can also be reflected within your mind. The flexibility in our mind. What thoughts and feelings are we having? And can we learn, right? If we're going to stretch in our lives, what are we learning? Can we read positive material, things that are going to grow us as a person? Can we keep our positive mindset by looking to the gratitude, looking to what beauty is in the world, looking for the positive perspective, looking for the gifts, looking for speaking affirmations, speaking love into yourself, speaking your intention of what you want for your outcome? Where's your mental state at? And when we can acknowledge and accept where we're at, if you're saying, I'm afraid, I'm scared right now, I'm not feeling well, And what comes up for me right now is something that I have learned recently. I've heard about tapping before, but it really came up in one of the coaching gals that I'm following, and she was following another person who was really skilled at tapping. And one of the pieces is to tap the palm of your hand by your pinky side. It doesn't matter which hand, whether it's your right or your left, and you can just tap that little fleshy part underneath your pinky on the palm of your hand on the side, and you just tap that, and you can just say and acknowledge, I'm feeling scared. I'm feeling really upset. I'm feeling angry. I'm feeling hurt. I'm feeling betrayed. I'm feeling pain in my body. Whatever it is that you're feeling, being honest with it, acknowledging it, and allowing that expression in a healthy way. And then tapping in another place, say your cheeks, right on your cheekbones. You can start speaking the positive affirmation. I'm feeling scared. And even though I'm feeling scared, I am safe. I'm okay. It's going to work out. I'm choosing to feel love. I'm choosing to feel calm. I'm choosing to feel peace. Taking anything and flipping it and just applying that I'm safe right now. I'm okay. I'm strong. I'm powerful. I'm going to get through this. I'm not sure how I'm going to get through this, but somehow, some way, this too shall pass. All of the different things that you can come up with to tap on your face, tap on your forehead right above in between your eyes. Some people call that the third eye. Right above on your forehead, you can just tap, tap, tap lightly, not to where it hurts, but just tap lightly on your forehead, tap on your chin. You can even tap under your collarbones on both sides with both of your hands. And you can tap underneath your armpits and tap, 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 tap. You can just tap there and continue to repeat the I'm safe, I'm okay, I'm strong, I'm powerful, I'm feeling afraid, but I'm going to get through this. So speaking the positive, and if you need to go back and I'm feeling really scared, this really doesn't feel good, it really hurts, acknowledging it and going back and doing the positive, back to the cheeks, back to the collarbones, back to right underneath your lip on your chin, doing it right underneath the sides, right underneath your armpits, kind of in your breast tissue that's on the side. So you can do tapping. There's so many positive ways we can acknowledge our emotions, acknowledge our mental state, and grow, whether it's through reading, writing, expressing, and acknowledging our feelings. So in our emotions, how can we really acknowledge our emotions, feel our emotions, and express them in a healthy way? Because it's easy to say, how do you express your emotion in a healthy way? But what does that really look like, right? So what is a healthy way to express your emotions and not just dampen them, but really fully allow them to have room to go through their experience, have their tantrum, be heard, be seen, be felt fully so that they can be released. And there are some ways that I've used in my grief experience to be able to get through some of these more challenging, uncomfortable, really turbulent emotions that can feel like they're just tumbling me over. And some of them can be to, like I said, physically move it through our body, actually giving it the movement expression, because emotion is energy and our bodies are amazing energy movers. And when we can move it through our body, whether it's through motions, kickboxing, beating a punching bag, beating on a pillow, beating on a couch, if it's anger, right? Or if it's that you're having the sadness, to really allow yourself that space and that place to really fully cry and give yourself that time to allow all those tears to flow, to let them come out and not stifle them or worry about who might see it or who might judge your tears and your sadness. To be able to accept that, yes, I'm feeling sad and this really hurts right now. To be able to go deeply into that tearful time and give yourself that time and that safety around that so that you don't have to worry? Can you give yourself that alone time to be able to express the crying, to be able to move it through your body and allow the tears to just wash over and cleanse, to cleanse through the tears and acknowledge and feel that sadness, right? And not just stuff it. So giving the crying, another thing that can be really cathartic and allow your emotions to move in a healthy way is to scream, and to find a safe place to scream. I'm not talking about screaming at someone, because that's not a healthy way to express your emotions, but to be able to scream if you need to scream, whether it's through blame or shame or whatever it is that you are needing to scream about, that cathartic, just guttural scream, the howl, the wailing. If you need to do that, give yourself the time and the space to do that too. And I've found that being in a car, being in a vehicle with your windows and your music on and parking somewhere that's fairly isolated can be a really safe place to allow you that expression to be able to scream. If you can find yourself alone in a space like the desert or some wide open space, that can also create that safety in that space to be able to release that energy out. Let the earth take it. Nature is so amazing in being able to absorb all of that and transform it. So however you can find that safe space to be able to scream and just allow that expression to come out, whatever needs to be said or just vocalized in such a guttural way, can really free you and stretch you. It can feel uncomfortable, but it's also really uncomfortable not to acknowledge the emotions and not to allow them the expression, and to just stifle it, hold on to it, and keep it stuck. So find ways that work for you in releasing, whether it's the anger, the guilt, the frustration. Another thing that you can do is writing, doing journal work, writing and scribbling as fast as you can. I've talked about this before, but in case you haven't heard one of those other episodes, the journaling exercise, where I call it the fire burning journal exercise, where you just write down everything quick as you can, no editing, no self-editing at all, and no one will read this. It's a safe place because you're writing and rewriting over the entire page. It doesn't matter where you write it on there. You just let it all come out. You let it all flow, whether it's about guilt or whether it's about anger or despair, whatever needs to come out. You just get that down on the paper. You write it out as hard as you need to with the pen, as fast, and whatever profanities, whatever you need to get out, you do that on that paper, so much so that you don't need to go back and read it. It's just about expressing it unfiltered, uncensored, and then you go and burn it. You burn that and you transform it. You get the emotion out. You may end up crying or having a screaming session during it, whatever you need to do to express while you're having that session, your fire burning exercise, to move that energy and then burn it and watch the fire as it burns. Watch it until it's totally and completely gone to dust, until it's ash. And be intentional while you're watching the fire that you are releasing it, that you are letting it go, that it's no longer going to be controlling you, that you are choosing and stepping into a higher space, in a better place, that you're freeing yourself. So if you have that intention, it can be even more powerful. Make it a ceremony for yourself. Take it outside, do it in a full moon, or just do it however you need to do it. Put it into your fireplace and watch it burn. Put it into a garbage can, whatever you need to do, just find a way to be able to release that however it feels best to you. So yeah, with the crying, the growling, the releasing, the forgiving of yourself, right? Stretching, these are the ways to stretch. It's not just physical. Of course, that's a really wonderful way to do it as well, because we do hold so much in our bodies. We store so much emotions. Our bodies and our emotions and our mind, they're so connected. So being able to stretch physically, emotionally, and mentally? Are we feeding our mind those positive affirmations, those positive thoughts? Are we recognizing when we are not being kind to ourselves, when we're speaking harshly, when we're having something that we feel shame around or guilt? How can we take that and crush it and ask if it's really true, find that forgiveness for ourselves through some of these exercises, whether it's the crying, the releasing through the writing, and finding ways to move into that uncomfortable stretch, like as in yoga, right? If we stretch to the point of, ooh, that's pretty uncomfortable, but I can still breathe through it, and remember to breathe through those stretches, right? If you're stretching during a really uncomfortable kickboxing class or beating a punching bag, if you're having that moment where you're really releasing that negative energy, it's going to feel uncomfortable, right? Just like in yoga, it can be uncomfortable when you're stretching in some ways that you haven't stretched before, or if you're experiencing a really tight muscle that has really been working hard for you. And if you can just breathe through it and give it some compassion, give it some love, send it some wonderful energy, and just be with that uncomfortableness, that will pass. And just stretch to the point where you're on the edge, but you're not going too far, and just keep doing that. Just keep stretching. Just keep doing the physical, the emotion, the mental stretching until you feel that freedom, until you're flying again and soaring on sweeter, calmer winds. Because it will calm. The wind always shifts, and that's life. Life is the wind. The wind is like the universe, God, energy, essence, the absolute life force that is like the wind in our lives. It continues to carry us and lift us, and sometimes that is a turbulent, bumpy, super uncomfortable, crazy rock and roll ride. And what I know is that also passes. So trusting in that rough ride, that it will end, that it has a time and it will get better. Trusting that life will have calmer winds as well, and that you will be okay. Trusting in your pilot, right? The person who's flying you. And if you're your own pilot of your own plane, trusting in your own ability and your strength to get through it, and your own ability to utilize tools and to reach and to stretch and keep reaching and stretching and growing until you get through that wind, until you get through that turbulence, to be able to just be on the ease of soaring. Because that's the most fun, right? That's the most wonderful and relaxing and easeful part. That's where I'm always wanting to be, is in that easeful soaring of life, where I'm right there and with the flow, like an eagle just soaring on the breeze. So keep stretching until you get to that place, and acknowledge, release, stretch, release, stretch, release, and stretch, and keep breathing through it. Utilizing some of the tools we've talked about today, and any other tools that you find work for you, to keep pressing into that uncomfortableness until you find the release. Sometimes we have to stretch to create the release, and then we can get to that freedom, that flying, easeful breeze. So stretch into new growth areas in your life, friends. Stretch and get to that breeze. And you'll know when you get to that breeze, because it feels easier. It feels more free. It feels lighter. You're no longer triggered by the same things. You'll know when you have stretched deep and long enough, because the ride is now easier and you're feeling better mentally, emotionally, and physically. So it may feel scary. It may be super uncomfortable. It may be bumpy. But but trust that this too shall pass. This too shall pass, right? That's the constant in life, is change. And everything will be okay. It may not be okay right now, and that's okay not to be okay. And it's okay to acknowledge that you're in the turbulence and you're right in the middle of it. There's a turbulent wind happening, and to give yourself that grace and the forgiveness, and to be able to know that it can be messy and it can look chaotic, and that too shall pass. And trust in yourself. Trust in the wind to carry you. That's like my mantra of the day. Trust in the wind to carry me. That the wind is always there. It's carrying me, right? Just like the wind carries an airplane. That it's there. It continues to keep the airplane in the air. That we absolutely have that force that's supporting us and for us. And that riding that wind, riding that wave, it's inevitable to have some rocky times. And sometimes the rocky times are worse than others. And sometimes you get banged up. Sometimes it's really painful. And that too shall pass. And that too can have smoother, calmer winds. So I hope that this has served you today. I hope you've found some tools to be able to get through the turbulent times in your life, and remember to breathe through your turbulent wind experiences in life. And I hope that these tools and skills will facilitate you in getting to the other side, into the calmer breeze and ease of your life and on your journey. So thank you for listening today. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you taking the time to take time for you and to listen and receive this with an open mind and open heart, and take what works for you and try it on. So I'd love to hear your feedback. I'd love to hear what you found of value today and how it has affected you in your life, and what wonderful experiences you're experiencing when you do take this on. If you try it on, how did it work for you? I'd love to hear your feedback, and I am looking forward to our next episode. And you can find me on lightsprinkles.com. That's lightsprinkles.com. And you can also find me on YouTube at Light Sprinkles and on podcast at Light Sprinkles. Thank you again. It's a pleasure to share with you, and I am wishing you tons of love and light on your turbulent winds and on your calm breezes. Much love and light. Bye for now.